Hey everyone, we're talking about everybody's favorite topic today, fitness and sales and marketing, but fitness. So earlier on, I had this mildly, personally humiliating experience. To set the scene, over the last couple of years, I have put on quite a bit of weight myself, and it happens. That was for various reasons, including but not limited to, I stopped breastfeeding. So right away, that's I should have been eating less. I was able to eat dairy again as a result of stopping breastfeeding. And I had an undiagnosed food allergy that was driving me nuts and took ages to pin down. And while that was going on, I was innocently still eating my allergen. Bodies hate when you do that, apparently. For the record, it was potato. Nobody thinks of potato. In my case, it's potato. Horrible. I'm Scottish. I don't need to say more on that topic. Anyway, so I have been focusing really hard on the last 6 months, but the fitness part and the exercising and so on for the last 2 or 3 months to try and bring it back down again to something I am more used to having. It's going well. A couple of weeks ago, I decided that I would start doing my push-ups and squats again. Now, there are these wonderful programs that I did, maybe about 8 or 9 years ago now, called the 100 push-ups challenge and the 200 squats challenge. And I naively thought to myself, excellent, we can do these things. I've done it before. It's not that big a deal. You go in small increments and build up and it's great. So I've been doing that. This morning, I went to do my push-ups and they hurt like a bitch. Now, rather than willpowering my way through, which I'm capable of doing, I went, okay, this isn't right. I shouldn't hurt from the first push-up. So I stopped and I Googled a little more. And I discovered that the science says, more or less, in aggregate, for God's sake, if you're really overweight, don't start with these exercises. For 2 reasons, which are now perfectly logical and sort of face-palmy. Reason 1, your muscles will have, gotten less conditioned over time. So even if you were doing these things before, with the weight gain and maybe not working out as much for a while, they're less capable of doing these things. Okay, that's reason 1. Reason 2, and probably the biggest reason in my case, is you're a hell of a lot heavier than you were. So you have muscles that aren't quite conditioned, more they're required to lift, and that paves the way for demotivation in the first instance and potential injury, which is the part I cared about. So I've since revised it to something a bit more suitable for where I am personally right now. And blow to my pride aside, it made me think of sales and marketing. And here's why. Sales and marketing, if you are starting out, or if you were previously very good at it and took a significant break, you can't lift the way that you might expect you can. The results you're used to having, especially if you were once really good and had an audience build up, and maybe you've switched who you're working for now or switched businesses. Speaking to you specifically, because I know where you're at. I am right there too. So, but even if you had reached a level of fame in your former niche and you're used to handling your marketing in a certain way and having it work, and handling your sales in a certain way and having it work, you'll find if you switch industries or switch what you're doing, or pause for a while and come back, they're going to take a hit. And you might even find that even going back to exactly what you were doing before is not going to give you the same results that you had when you were doing them consistently, or when you had spent significant time and effort building up your original audience, right? There's a lot of small steps that we take at the beginning when we're fumbling about learning how to market and how to do sales for the first time that we forget to do when we switch, or when we come back to it again, or we have a new audience. I'm just going to say when we switch from now on to keep it a bit more streamlined here. So when you're brand new on the scene, you talk to a lot of other people on the scene. You network because no one's really quite sure what they're doing, and if you're a personable sort, you make a whole bunch of connections. And you talk amongst yourselves, and you talk to each other, and you talk on each other's platforms, and you start to build a bit of a following and a bit of buzz around who you are. That's not really something that we automatically gravitate to later. From that little buzz, for example, you might find yourself doing more blog posts or more videos or what have you. You might have newsletters that you're used to sending out. You might have a social media marketing calendar, and it might even work if you have enough people that care what you're saying. Okay? You go back to it and you go, I know how this game is played. We're going to do blogs, we're going to do YouTube, we're going to have this social media calendar that we had before, and we're just going to dive back into it. You've not done the little bits that come before that. So, you might still see results, but it's going to take you longer to see them. And there is a greater chance that you're going to stop before you see them and decide that these are the techniques that don't work anymore. And it's a damn shame, actually, when all that it really needs for you to build momentum is smaller steps. And you can do them quickly. I'm not saying, no, you must stop and spend like 5 or 6 months building up your audience before you can do it. That's bullshit for a start. But there are things that you do at the very beginning that you maybe don't think to do later. Things that are really effective and that often work. Things like asking people to share your content, for example, or if they would go and look at it and let you know that it's any good. Things like hopping on over to their blog or swapping guest posts. Does anyone remember when that used to be this major thing that we all did? Still works. Or, being a guest on their podcast or having them come and be on your podcast. Hint, hint, link in the description. Yeah, stuff like that. Things that you do at the very beginning. And that's marketing mainly. In sales, what you do at the very, very start is you tend to over-deliver on both value and in your communication. You say a heck of a lot more. Now, some of what you say a heck of a lot more of when you're new is maybe not quite where it's at. But the thing about that is you talk a lot about your thing. As you talk about it, you become more solid. As you become more solid, you become more confident. As you become more confident, you're invited to speak about it more often, for one. For another, you will close more sales. No matter what technique it is you're using, no matter which of my character classes you operate from, confidence will lead you to where you need to go. And having confidence in what you're doing and in how you talk about what you're doing is a big deal, and you can't shortcut that. It doesn't. From my own experience here, I ran 2 beta rounds of my sales RPG before I even released it to the public, right? Ran them both. Didn't spend terribly much time talking about it before we got to the it's open to the public part. Mainly because I'm an idiot and I forgot. We'll just chunk it down to that and leave that there. But the reality was that meant I was launching with very little buzz about it beyond the people that had played in the beta, which, it's fine. It's not great. As launches go, predictably it went, but at least it was then out in the open. Since then, that was what? Did I launch in June? I think I launched in June. Since June, we've had about 5 months of me learning how to talk about it and realizing that when you say sales RPG to somebody, they don't automatically know what it means. And that half the time from my messaging, people take away that it's some sort of role-playing game, maybe a video game, and not quite sure how this works. Or the other half is, okay, but it's sales coaching, but is it mindset sales coaching? And it's this big tangled mess. And you know what? I am still getting to the point now where I can start to talk about it with a degree of clarity being elicited in the people listening. The best I can offer just now for that, especially when I'm typing it out, is look, it's this RPG where we speak person to person on video like this, and I specifically designed it from the ground up to help you practice the skills and, you know, style of thinking that best suits your sales type. You get these character sheets and you get sorted into whichever sales class makes the most sense. There are 6 of them. So you get a base one and a multi-class. It's very cool, actually, that, you know, you don't get to pick who you are. You play as yourself. You have these things. We get into the adventures, and as a group, we will go off, and it could be anything, honestly. I often use the example we argue with dragons because that has happened more than once, and it makes me laugh every time. But we've also done things like negotiate peace treaties. We have found objects. We've completed puzzles. We've managed to get out of tense political situations. You know, we've uncovered lies and different viewpoints about the same thing in the same place, and none of them's quite right, but none of them's really wrong. And it's this process. And throughout the game, which it is a game, it basically provides a safe space for you to run headlong into whatever sales blocks and barriers you have going on without running away before you get to them. So you smack into that wall and then we deal with it and you come out better on the other side. That's more or less what I have built. Trying to explain that without the use of creative hand gestures is interesting. And we're getting there. But this is sort of what I mean. Even if you have something great that you believe in, when you first start marketing or selling a new thing, there's a learning curve. And, you know, there's confidence in what you're selling, that's important. But there's also confidence in how you're delivering. There's also confidence in the words you are using to get your point across. And it can take time, and building on it slowly over time, well, slowly, little increments, makes a huge difference. And then, do you know what? You get to the level of marketing you were at before. And because you've put the time in to really build momentum and grow your base, it goes a hell of a lot better for you. Anyway, that's just what I was thinking about today. Do let me know if it's been helpful. And yeah, per usual, we have the podcast on Friday. If you want to come on that, the link is in the description down below. And if you want to find out what your own free elemental companion is, take the quiz at salesrpg.com. And I will see you next time.